successful. Proceed to dust-off zone for extraction. Sensors indicate friendly dropship has entered atmosphere. ETA dropship 1 minute. Shutdown sequence initiated.
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live. We have Templars versus CDU here for the rather exciting conclusion of today. I did see a little bit of the KDCM versus RJF, though I was away for most of it. So we've already had some fairly exciting drops earlier, and going to do a little bit of a different caliber, going all the way from Div A down to Div E and seeing how the other half lives. So. A little bit of confusion here as we get everything set up in the lobby. This is actually going to be a lobby run by Tech49, and just about to get everything set up. I'm here with my lovely co-caster of Salty Biscuit. Say hi, Salty.
Hi, Salty.
Very helpful. Anyway, several new teams here. Templars have been around for a very long time, although I believe this is only their second foray into comp, and CDU is on its first, so lovely to see some more people getting involved, and nice to have all the matching unit tags. It's something you don't see with a lot of the higher end divisions. So, very gonna make things much easier switching all the teams and everything over. Checking. Thanks for the patience, guys. All right. Yeah. So for the maps, since there seems to be a little bit of confusion here, going over to our map strat page, we have Grim Plexus to start out with, River City second, HPG and the inevitable wall strat of death, Alpine for even more blue lasers, and finishing off with Tourmaline, the destination of choice for PPCs. So expecting a lot of long range, especially as we get into the higher tonnages of these mechs. So Blood League 7v7, and we switch up what the one is for every drop. So 2 heavies, 2 mediums, 2 assaults, 1 light, and you move up from there. So hopefully we'll have this sorted. No, maybe should have taken over control of this lobby, but it's always worked out well in the past. Could be some interesting things. Alright. Yes, first map is Grim, hopefully.
Once upon a time, under a different name, I was actually my first unit whenever I joined MechWarrior Online way back, like just after beta, I think, was actually the Templars.
Oh, really? I didn't know you had history of these guys.
Yeah, I was under a different name at the time. I ended up having to go off and do something else, so I just dropped off the face of the earth. But yeah, they've always been a pretty decent team. At the time, they were a force to be reckoned with as far as faction warfare goes.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently a seeding discrepancy, but no, CDU is the top team as we go over the tournament page, take a look at it. It's been a close-in run of Divi. Nobody has taken advantage and run away with everything. We've all got 1 loss each, and unfortunately, CDU Team Alpha has been dragging behind and has not yet won a game so far. But still another 3 rounds or 4 rounds to go. And there we go. Get the team switched around, and we hopefully will start soon. As 10 minutes into a cast is not a great time to be still sorting out teams and placings. But so I saw, who was it? It was Sky Rangers of Terra versus Highlander Dragoons playing Grim Plexus, and Sky Rangers brought a bunch of Brawl stuff to go sit behind Epsilon in the low ground of Fox 8. And whenever anybody tried to sneak by them and go cap, just run at the entire mass of guys.
Oh my gosh.
Just like, it was less than perfectly executed because they ended up getting flanked by a fleeing commando trying to grab Sigma and Gam at the same time. So ended up trying to push the main force and got slaughtered by the blue lasers. But I think 5 cap has more potential on this map than 3 does, just because you can try and play a couple different areas. At least gets the fight away from the top and Hamburger Hill.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear like someone playing Brawl defensive like that, because usually people associate Brawls with like no skill rush.
That's why it was so interesting, why I wanted to share. Couple different things. I mean, there's always been the PPCs up in Fox 10 trying to cover Epsilon and playing pretty far back into the Fox 11 slots. But I don't know. I want to see something new. Part of the fun of coming down here into Div E is they don't know the meta, so they don't know what they're supposed to do. And you can really see some creativity. Whether it works or not is almost irrelevant, but creativity is worth something in and of itself.
Well, it's not so much they don't know what they're supposed to do, it's just a different meta altogether. I mean, whenever you're at the high levels, you're seeing a lot of like heavy front-loaded pinpoint because everyone just doesn't miss.
This is true. So here's hoping. We've got still trying to get teams locked. Oh man. Now we're arguing over who has the actual opponents. No, this is definitely the game. This is definitely the right lineup. Okay. Alright, we at least have a team locked. Alright, so we're starting off a little rough to the cast, but switching back over, hopefully both teams will get locked here fairly quickly. So the question is, if you're having some trouble with some continuity, this is your first real experience with comp, do you even try to do what most of the higher end teams go for with the split one big wolf pack and then a supporting cast of cover fire? Or do you just try and keep all your mechs together and run around the map with maybe like a cap commando or a spider?
I'd imagine it typically going a little bit more like quick play, where you do have the smaller element out capping, and then you have your main element doing your whirly twirly in the middle.
Well,
or some gradient of that. You get whirly twirly at 500 meters or whirly twirly at 200 meters.
Well, we have a discrepancy of 45 tons here, so definitely a difference in philosophy.
That's substantial.
Yeah, with only 400 tons worth of mech on average between the two of them, so I expect to see some fleas and commandos out of one side and wolfhounds and bigger mediums certainly out of the other. But I'm going to go ahead and take on the red team. You take on the blue, and let's get some scouting on their mechs. Well, it took us a while to get into the game, but we are finally here, and we are finally ready for some Stompy Rohot mayhem on a very toasty Saturday night, at least for me. So, music is not playing. Somebody may have failed to load in. There we are. Oh, they loaded in, they just got a toaster. So, for the blue team, CDU, we have Locust Pirate's Bane, Bushwhacker X2, Warhammer 60, Kodiak 3. He could be fun. What do you got? 4 AC-10s and a PPC. Rifleman's got LBX-2s, and the Warhammer's got ER meds, medium lasers, and 2 PPCs. Vapor Eagle A could be the Mini Atlas build. So only one true cap mech out of CDU here. What do you have on the other side?
Let's see here. Sorry, bear with me. It's been a while since I've supervised a match. I'm seeing looks like a rifleman, LB2. Another Kodiak.
Kodiak 3 is the new meta for Div E.
That's interesting.
He's got Gauss rifles and machine guns and ER peeps. Bounty Hunter has LPLs and ER meds. Their Veagle is much slower and is double LBX-10 and PBCs. So, early cap out of Theta on for CDU, Pirates Bane being first to approach. Could have a big fight here at Epsilon. The Viper is about to peek all on his lonesome and going to run into 3 mechs from Templars. Could be a little dangerous. Just a Flea, Jenner, and Black Widow, but I don't know if he can get away from these guys if they decide to dive him. We'll have the support of his team here as they move up through the canyon. So, some long range, but not exceptionally long range out of these guys. Rack 2s, AC-10s, LB2s, PPCs. So, early scouting information victory goes to the Templars, who are going to take that and bail. Flea did get chewed up a little bit, but nobody else too hurt.
Yeah, I saw a couple PPCs go in, as well as the LB2 fire from the riflemen actually do some decent amount of at least poke on the initial A and got them off the point pretty quick. Viper was able to capitalize really fast to get the cap flipped as soon as he could.
Salty, tab Q backspace. You'll bring up all the information you need. So, Black Widow, Vapor Eagle, Kodiak slowly going to move in and try and take top as the critical damage unit's kind of stalling out a little bit. They have 3 capped and probably need to go defend that Theta cap. They have no Overwatch fire, and I think the Kodiak's moving to correct that right now. But a little worried about where the Black Lantern went, considering all their mixed torso twistings. 6 case out here could do a lot of damage if they get pushed by staying back just a little bit farther from his team, but they've decided they want to be a little bit more aggressive, so Kodiak 3 is going to be very interesting as he pokes this ridge. A lot of damage going to go down onto him, down to full 11% from that poke. Does get the Bushwhacker in, but he's getting pasted just about as well. The long-range damage definitely telling out from the Templars as they trade fairly well from the poking mechs from the top.
And that was a healthy strike.
So Theta is just about to get flipped here, but they still only will have the 2 caps. Having nobody contesting Sigma or Gamma, they probably want to peel off either the Flea or the Jenner. They're trying to backcap Epsilon, but all they got to do is turn around and defend this. I think this is a very poor move, trying to go for this specific cap point. Yeah, the Warhammer is about to turn around. Still a lot of fire being traded. Mechs are living substantially longer. The Bushwhacker takes another one on the chin for the PPC fire. But strike that should have done quite a bit of damage does not scratch the Vapor Eagle all too much. This is a lot of long-range trading, and I think the Templars have brought the better mechs for it. The only thing that's truly out of range is that Bounty Hunter, and he's finally slipped underneath their guns. Cap advantage still held by Templars, but they have evacuated Epsilon, and that will be capped once again by the Flea. I don't think the Grinner is going to get run down here, but they might try. Tech is trying to defend his friend very valiantly. This could decide the match here, who wins this light fight. Not a lot of movement out of Tech and the Flea. Could take a lot of punishment on those legs. Definitely going to have to keep an eye over here as we watch the percentages continue to drop from both sides. Kodiak 3 at 61% from Templars. Bushwhacker at 67% from CDU. A lot of things getting stuck in over here on this light fight in the south corner. A lot of big things getting stuck in on the hill. Tell me how that fight's going over there.
Tech's leg is still wide open with the lights.
Yep. He did get finally legged here and does file, but almost immediately going to be traded out as the Viper dies from an overheat. So Pirates Bane and Flea versus Black Lantern and Wolfhound. He has a blue laser on that Wolfhound. 1 large laser, 4 ER meds. That's not what you want to be fighting lights with.
Storm Bolter now goes down. Is 1-2.
Okay, so jumping back into the main fight, they've gotten very, very aggressive here. Six Case loses an arm. The Bushwhacker is about to be open CT, it looks like. Kodiak is the only one that's really healthy, and he's kind of playing back behind both of his teammates, but they're very outnumbered mechs here. This is all really falling apart for CDU. They do have the damage if they can get it applied to the correct mechs, but they are very rapidly running out of time to do so. CDU does still hold the cap advantage if the Pirate's Bane can disengage. If he has the presence of mind to do that, I really hope he does. He was trying to cap Epsilon and is going to be thwarted in that by the Black Lantern coming up behind him. Black Tack could be the hero they need as Gold tries to buy him as much time as he can in the Kodiak 3. He is going to fall here, rapidly running out of armor as those AC-10s try and do a little bit more work, but does not manage to claim a kill. Strike still doesn't manage. Kodiak walks through that, so we've got a lot of very damaged mechs here, but very few kills. Nightjar getting down to 35%. Just a little bit more focus fire could have definitely turned this one. I'm seeing, I think, 2-3 one-shots over here. Yeah, Bounty Hunters could make it out. Black Lantern being engaged on by Black Tack, who does lose a leg and will be executed as the Marauder makes his way over. So, Templars take game 1 in a closer fight than I was really expecting. How about you, Salty?
I unfortunately was having an issue with my keyboard. As you know, I spilled a beer on it a couple of weeks back, and I'm still having problems. So, Field Day and Tab was not working. I think I fixed it now, so I should have it for next match.
Mistakes were made. Xbox controllers work really, really well for casting.
I do have one of those.
Make the screen nice and fluid. So, going over to the team stat screen, 564 damage for Stardust. And Kodiak's proving very viable. 607 from one, 423 from the other. It's a brand new ball game. Really would have liked to have seen the Viper and Locust play a little bit more cap defense. A lot of split cap time on the Templar side, but here we go. This is going to be an interesting one. Let's get into the next match as quickly as possible.
While that's setting up, what exactly, just for everyone else out there, has changed with the Kodiak to make it so viable?
It got some of the mobility boost, but I think this is just a preference thing, trying not to bring an Annihilator that being that slow. It didn't get like the Timberwolf full rebalance, unless that was something in the June notes that I missed.
As everyone remembers back before, I think 2017, the Kodiak was a powerhouse. It was just everywhere. It was ubiquitous. It was painful.
That was before I even started playing, so.
Not rip. That PGI and usual PGI nature actually went ham on it, and it became unviable for quite some time. I mean, it was still usable, but you know, people's like, oh, it's been nerfed, it's completely useless, and they don't touch it for years. And it's good to see it back.
I have seen some rather meme strategies involving Spirit Bears, and Twitch chat generally goes pretty wild over those.
I love my Brawler Spirit Bear. It just feels so good.
Man, I just wish Clan SRMs had a nice tight spread. It's
And the hit reg on them seems to be super jank in comparison to the IS ones. I'm not sure, maybe it's just me. But yeah. I've always had problems getting them on target and seeing them pass through like a leg or something and just flipping out.
I think that's just because your internet's bad, Salty. I've played enough SRM linebacker.
Me too. That gets past my problem with the sheer volume of hell it spits out.
Well, so a little bit for both teams to learn there, but definitely looks like CDU is going to play a little more for the caps, and Templars is going to play for the fight. So we'll see how these different styles play out across some of the bigger maps. We do have River City up next, but HPG, Tourmaline definitely could be very interesting if they keep trying to split the styles like this. So, waiting to see teams locked here. So, switching over to the map strat for a little bit while I wait for everybody to get in. What do you think about the Templars getting that aggressive? They were playing, kind of standard Hamburger Hill, took Kappa, pushed across the Theta, took aggressive lines on the backside, and really just kept marching through as they were winning the trades. It really didn't seem like CDU had a plan once they realized they couldn't hold Epsilon, Sigma, Gamma.
The Templars held that Hamburger Hill in such a way that they couldn't really push as much as they needed to, and they were super fixated on Epsilon. And they were coming around the Hotel 8 area and just firing on Epsilon a lot bit, while the other team was able to get up into a position where they're just ready for them. And as soon as they peeked up around that corner, they start taking trades. They only go one by one or around a corner, and they would just be punished for it. So the Templars were just able to get a lot more damage out early, and it was a lot more focused, which is what I think won it for them in the end.
I wonder how much that game would have changed if they hadn't tried to take the fight across the 7 line while they were still up on Hamburger Hill, because they still had that cap advantage at that point. So it would have been, I forced the issue at that point.
It's just a natural reaction. The enemies are there, you go after them. But in that situation, they should have absolutely broken contact, because all they would have is their Theta, and they can have their lights continue to bounce back and forth between Epsilon, Gamma, and Sigma. And they'd have much more control in that area to control the pitch of the battle. But because they were up there trading against the firing line, they were completely unable to respond.
Well, we'll see if anything changes here. Make sure you've got this. All right, switching back into MWO, we are good to go, and we have launched for River City.
All right, now I have an Xbox controller plugged in, so I should be a little bit more able.
Fair enough. I'm going to stick to calling blues. You're going to stick to calling reds. Standing start, I believe, for River City, so we should get a better view of their mechs a little bit earlier. Oh, it's not a standing start.
No, sir.
Really should have like a post-it note of which apps have that. It makes it so much nicer. Also, there's been no battle here. Why are all the buildings on fire? They're not yet ready to kill each other just yet. Alright, somebody still has a toaster as we wait for everybody loaded in. Music has started, and that means I can break up the tap screens. And CDU continuing with very, very similar list. So they're going to sub out and bring in an Annihilator and a Piranha for this. So a little bit later on the heavies, but additional cap mech.
And on the other side here, we have a Spirit Bear, an Urban Mech 60, Stormcrow Lacerator. You don't see that too often. Roughneck, Marauder 2C, looks like the laser build, Vindicator, and a Wolfhound.
That may be a breach of terms. I don't remember which Stormcrow is banned, but one of them is currently broken. Oh, we've got Lerms! The Mad Dog has Lerms. And Rotary 5s on the Bushwhacker, not 2s. So Sixth Sense is very, very confident in his aim here. And going to be probably a little bit closer than he really wants to be if they're trying to hold Spaceport. So really early scouting information being gained by the Viper here. CDU's playing a lot of information control. The split push coming in from Templars could really get that caught out. Could be another Light Brawl on Kappa. I really don't think you want to fight this. Stormcrow, Urban Mech, Wolfhound versus Viper, Piranha, Locust. Just the tonnage is not in your favor to take this engagement here. Could be very dangerous, very devastating. Stardust's going to be the first one targeted, but I mean, you just see the chunks of damage coming off of these laser burns. Piranha's already down to 74%. Viper's got back shots from the top and is doing some amount of work, but the number of shots needed to hit for killing CDU is a lot lower than the number of ones being killed by Templars. A little bit of Lerm support coming in could make quite a bit of difference in taking down the Stormcrow. His back looks to be all the way open. Not a lot of damage going down on the Piranha. He keeps engaging and disengaging, but finally does go down. It looks like a back CT shot all the way down. 39% on the Stormcrow. Lerm's continuing to eat through that armor. A lot of structure. He does still have the laser arm. It looks like he did just lose that. 17%. Somebody kill this man. Bushwhacker finally coming in to help. I hope they really have one light mech at the end of this. This Black Tech guy really needs to disengage. Will finally drop the Stormcrow. Viper has already been legged. Lots of bullets going into the Wolfhound as the Lerm targets get shifted over. But in the meantime, the fight's being had on the other side as the heavies move over to support. The Annihilator has been caught out in a bad position by the Vindicator. The Kodiak, Spirit Bear, and the Roughneck are being able to advance almost unopposed. The light fight still hasn't resolved as Black Tech takes another huge percent. Finally does go down, but the heavies are in. A lot of brawl going down on the Annihilator. Big chunks being taken out by those SRM blasts. Looks like he lost one full torso and is about to fully fall as the Spear Bearer gets into range and absolutely wrecks face. This is going very, very south very quickly for CDU. Only the Stormcrow has fallen, and the Kodiak that did not engage tried to bring the AC-10s in, but he is going to be very lonely here as he fights 6 mechs converging from all sides. Not even really the same opportunity to get the kills that he might have gotten last time. Yeah, that was the wrong fight to take. They were outdone by what, 70? Give or take?
Just about.
On this side? I don't want to do the full math. I'll make a fool of myself on stream, but 40 tons worth of lights backed up by a 40-ton light in the Viper versus 35, 30, and 55. So, bad news bears, even with the Lerm support coming in. Kodiak did fairly well trying to keep them at bay, 574. And you can see where all the damage was able to be done by the lights that were actually engaged. A little bit of Lerm support coming in from the Mad Dog RV and Stormbreaker. But that was poorly thought out from the start, I think.
I'm thoroughly impressed at that Stormcrow. It popped at 10%.
Yeah,
that's when it finally popped.
He made those Lerms. Lacerator is not. The Stormcrow Prime is banned. Okay. Very good, very good. So maybe a little bit. What could have been done better? The Annihilator went over there to help them, and he was very poorly positioned for the Roughneck coming up on his side.
Yeah, he exposed himself from the push from Theta. Like, everyone had a firing line on him. Probably should have worked behind that building.
The Mad Dog was able to give pretty good Lerm support pretty early on. Was really happy to get in there and help where he could, but I think having the Bushwhacker play with the lights and taking some heavier lights would have been very important, because the plan was to hold Kappa, and they apparently never assumed anyone was liable to try and sneak over there, so they'd had even a little bit of a faster reaction force, they might have been able to make it, but they just casually strolled up the H-line and were almost totally unopposed. So, is there anything more complicated than you lost the light fight, you lost the game?
No.
Well,
You could just legitimately when you lose those lights early, it's been shown time and time again that you just run out of the means to cap. If you're playing the lighter lights and they come at you with the heavier lights, chances are you need to not take that fight.
Oh,
You need to you can just let them have that point, and then you can just have your team rotate further around the opposite side and try to get some early trades and early damage on whatever stragglers they have there. The lights can reposition. You can just turn what would be that fight that would be a losing fight into a slight skirmish, get out of there, let them have it, then position somewhere where you would be better used, be it to respond to a cap on the other side of the map or to respond to anything else diving on your team.
it was very interesting. They were quite spread out, and they looked like they were going to try and hold from the Citadel, and only really reacted once they got past the Hotel 7 line. Is there any shots from up on top of the Citadel into the Kappa area?
Into the Kappa area? No, not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a couple angles, but you'd just be like keyholing at that point through little gaps and rocks and shit.
Well, or somebody in the chat will correct us and be like, oh, there's a secret spot in the back of Fox 9 where you get on top of these rocks and you gotta have 7 jump jets to get there. But I don't know. I've never tried to break the maps nearly as much as some of these comp players do, especially that stupid spot up on top of Terra Therma that you can run the Lerm boats.
And that's why we're Dipsy.
Well, hey, I never claimed to be otherwise. I'm here for entertainment purposes only, not facts.
Truth.
All right, we do have the teams getting sorted out. Templars look to be about ready to lock. So next map is going to be HPG. And as ever, we have seen the question of wall strats versus basement strats. And actually, I think you're wrong if you don't go wall strats, or at least plan around them.
It's 100%. Like, you, especially in smaller team formations like this, you get the wall and you can hold the wall. You have clear field of fire on like 60% of the map.
So there's a lot to be said for the number of comp games you've played and your win rate on HPG. The ways you get up on the wall, the different number of jump jets you can have to get through certain points. I mean, how oppressive a wall strat is always a shock the first time you get played. But we've got one team here with one whole comp tournament under their belt, and another with this is the 4th round they've ever played in comp. So potentially some spine strats, some rush strats could be interesting. Just don't let this end in a timer end. That's all I'm asking. Let's have a exciting HPG. Show us what the map can really do. All right, checking in. We are still not locked for Templars, Team 1. Okay. All right, so as we get set up here for game 3 and just about to go into it, we do have another game coming up directly after this. Clan Crossfire is taking on... Oh no, I had it written down and how it's gone. Oh no, Crossfire is fighting... DPS. So, we do have another game coming up at 9 directly after this over on MWO Leagues 2. So, anyway, switching back over so we don't do a radio cast. We are in for HPG. And yet more violence and hopefully less wall strats.
Now, how did you enable your mouse in the Do you know how to enable your mouse in the spectator mode?
Press P.
P as in Papa?
Yes.
Beautiful, thank you so much.
So, tab key backspace, press P if you want to click on individual mechs, and you can actually bring up their paper dolls for looking at damage and weapons. So, for Templars, who are now the blue side, as we switched over, sticking with the Marauders, Marauder 2C for ERs and LPLs, Cataphract with light PPCs, LBX2s, LB10s, Ultra 10s from the Kodiak, so they really like their Kodiaks. Lacerator doing small pulse and MPLs. Jenner sticking with the ERs and large laser. Really think he'd be better suited with lots of other different builds. 8 small pulse off the fire starter. Alright, what does CDU have as we wait?
Okay, so CDU, I see Linebacker Prime. Okay, there we go. Linebacker Prime, a Mad Cat 2B, Urban Mech R63, Black Lantern, Peanut Butter, Locust Pirate Spain, another Rifleman, and then the Kodiak again. Kodiak is the same build. It is ERPPC's UX. Lacerator is Mass Pulse.
So both sides really sticking with what they know. I'm seeing exceptionally few new builds here.
That linebacker sticks out to me with the 6 SRM6s, or excuse me, 6 SRM6s.
Yeah, the Cataphract is the only new one. Cataphract and the Mad 2C are the only ones we haven't seen out of Templars so far. I think they played the Firestarter earlier. But the Emila's got a AC-20, a medium laser, 2 machine guns, 2 light PPCs. So, not really seeing how this could be a wall strat. This could be a pretty bad initial fight here as we get going at 13 minutes and door fights for both sides. Here we go. All right, nobody's playing wall. This could get quick, dirty, and very, very fast. Whoever brings their lights over could be a decisive advantage. Looks like both sides are headed to basement. Linebacker trying to get an early cap onto Theta and is going to be backed up by his team. They have the longer range, so this could go very, very poorly for them. Nope, they're going to bail out of there. Linebacker is going to be... Peanut Butter is going solo into Theta. As it looks like Templars have decided to take Spine, so... much more of a quick play style, and I love to see it. So, a lot of early damage going down on Spitcase. He is solely exposed, and nobody else can really help him. The Kodiak's finally getting in there, as is the Mad Cat Mark IV, but this is 4 peaking on 1. A lot of damage going down to the Mac 2 Bravo. Rifleman 2C finally gets forced out, so... they kept calling take top, and nobody went with them, and now everybody who's poking up there is getting absolutely obliterated. A strike isn't really going to help with all that amount of cover. 6 Cents could die here if he's not careful and falls away from that corner correctly. The rest of his team is not here to help, and it doesn't look like they're going to be moving to get help. Galdon has kind of got target fixation on the other Kodiak as the rest of the team wraps around here. This is going all kinds of sideways for CDU. They've picked a target they want to focus, but they're not being aggressive and keeping those angles of attack open. Stormcrow Lacerator here is going to get some very good back shots if he's not noticed by the Peanut Butter as he crosses over. It looks like the Medcap has taken notice of him, but is not really going to be able to save his team as he's almost one shot from death, and only AC-10 and Ultra AC-5 and AC-10 to hold off that Lacerator.
Meanwhile, Stardust is out there at capping it.
Oh, that could be absolutely devastating here. So, CDU's stabilized. As the momentum of the Templars has run out, they've contented themselves with taking top and utterly fragmenting this push from CDU.
Well, yet again, they get the early long-range lines, and they were able to hold the position, so they could not go up there, and they had to peek one at a time into a firing line.
All right, so 3 cap for the Templars. Nobody's fallen so far. being able to take care of their damaged mechs. Stormbreaker still trying to make a impact on this game. Looks like there could be a fight down in the basement as the Black Laner and the Urban Mech go after the Stormcrow. Still no one's fallen. Finally, 6K, the first one to peek up there, taking all of that damage, falls. Stormbreaker could get dropped by this artillery strike if he's not exceptionally lucky and or careful. Only 1% so far, but the Jenner is looking for the kill shot. Tech goes down in the Lacerator, who got pinned underneath with a basement push. And now it is Urban Mech on Firestarter as we wait for more of these big guns from Templars to land. An exceptionally chaotic fight here as everyone's playing unsupported positions, but they're getting better trades out of it because of it. Finally, Templars has made the call. They're abandoning the top and going to run down the Urban Mech. He's got PPCs, one light PPC, MPLs, and machine guns. So he's going to be run down by 3 mechs. The Kodiak is trading as best as he can, but the DPS of that rifleman is scary and looks to have already damaged some of his guns. Yep, going to be CT crate out. The Rifleman 2C may not be able to take a punch, but it certainly can deliver one. CDU doing what they can. They've got a 3 cap lead and are capping a 4th, but with 8 minutes on the clock and still 400 points to go, this does not look good. So, can the Peanut Butter take any of these fights one-on-one if they split up and all go to a different cap point?
It's unlikely that Templars will do that.
Well, they don't.
But it could, given his state and looking at the other mechs, there's a couple fights he could take.
Well, the Firestarter is going to be on him almost the entire time just to try and harass him, but you're not going to catch a flea with any of the rest of these guys. No one is headed towards Sigma. That could prove somewhat disastrous by the Templars as they look to go up to a 3-0 lead. As we chase the flea around the map. He is going to get ambushed here by the Mad 2C and just casually walks on by. Not even interested.
Could have 100% taken that fight and won it.
Yep. Well, I guess he's wondering about how close the Firestarter is behind him, but with that Mad 2C being a one-shot left torso. A little bit of leg damage as he falls down here to go cap Theta. Okay, they're finally really starting to divide themselves up. So the Cataphract is going to stay at Epsilon. The Firestarter? No, the Jenner is going to stay at Gamma. Firestarter is still on the back of this Locust, but Locust did manage to cap Theta and has a 120-point lead with 200 points to go. He's doing just enough to keep this game competitive, although if he runs in straight lines like that, he might not, as he loses leg. It looks like it's backshots being the order of the day for the Stardust and the Firestarter. Does open up a right leg. Black Tech has had enough of this and is going to face him off in a duel to the death, but this is not a fight I don't think you can win. Both legs open.
As a Locust, those small posts are fatal.
Yep. Both legs really open, and one shot gets them both. GG! He tried. He tried. Black Tech certainly gets an A for effort there, if nothing else. So. Div E, take top. Let's go. Stormcrow did quite a bit of work. 310, he did get ambushed by the Urban Mech and jumped on while he was in the basement. Firestarter doing a solid cleanup work, a full minute on the cap, 300 damage. Kodiak still proving to be very viable, at least down here at 551. And for CDU, a couple bright spots. The Urban Mac doing 268, their Kodiak doing a full 750, but being kind of let down by the Rifleman and the Mad Cat who took those early pokes. So, full 2 minutes of cap from the Pirates Bane.
Yet again, just shows you that it's all about the momentum in a lot of these games. If you're able to get that damage going initially and keep it going when they can't respond to it and they can't build that momentum against you, you're eventually going to win.
I wonder. They brought a lot of range, and I don't blame them for it. But if the initial plan was to do something that bold on either side, why wouldn't you go with a little bit more speed and go straight through the doorway and try and jump the gap on them?
And at the same time, why would you try to push top when you're losing trades against the firing line? You could drop down, take theta initially, and then work from there.
Oh man, I can never remember where the spine is on this map. So Templars were very content to take the optimized route for most map control, and CDU took a somewhat jank route where they were thinking about going basement, but ultimately decided the Echo 4 corner was the spot they wanted to fight at. Did not work out exceptionally well for them, as you saw. Everybody who popped up this ramp took 20% of damage, as everybody on the spine had almost perfect lines at them. A little bit less coordination at a CDU, which they haven't been around nearly as long, so it's to be expected. Templars have been consistently winning light engagements, and I think that is something to look at for CDU in the coming weeks is more practice, more teamwork with the lights, and maybe some heavier tonnage on those.
Yeah, they've been consistently in a tonnage deficit.
Well,
was there any match that they were at the same tonnage or out-tonned the Templars?
not so far. I'm sure we can be corrected, but not so far, I don't believe. So, Templars have officially won with that. They lead the match 3-0. But there is still pride and, more importantly, I think down at this level, experience to play for. That cannot be said for enough, especially with it being their first comp outing. Really, really would like to see some bigger plays. No. They found a couple of different mechs that they really like. If they could coordinate those mechs better, get the Rifleman being able to play behind the Kodiak, use that DPS. Kodiak with the PPC and Ultra 10s has been insufficiently aggressive, I'd say. He was the last to die on drops 1 and 2. But if they could solve a lot of their problems with W key pushes and just a little bit of extra focus fire, I think. Even if they are going to take what they feel most comfortable in, and I can't fault them on that front.
And just like judging for the positioning, and they're targeting probably cleaner comms in that situation. Like you can see the confusion on the battlefield as people are stopping. I saw the linebacker stop going to theta, immediately turn around and run back around the other way. Stuff like that, just like little bits of change to save time so you can get those initial positions.
Well, we will have another. Sorry. We will have both sides in for interviews, and we can ask them about the comms and the decisions they were making when they were making them. So it seemed like both sides, from when I talked to them pre-game, had some very solid map strats and ideas of what they wanted to do, but no plan has ever survived first contact, and
don't you know it?
Well, you could definitely see where it's at for the Templars. Like they get their initial position, and then a full minute or so later, once they've got a wolf pack, they'll take the first fight they can get. They've consistently been doing that across these matches. The Grim Plexus drop, they took the first fight with the Kodiaks, and the Marauders were poking over the edge. They took the light fight early. They're just waiting to see where CDU is going to set up and head towards them.
While positioning their longer range and to where they can punish if they do try to go to key points.
Yeah. I really would like to see CDU have better initial placements like the Templars have had. As you said, the confusion with linebacker that was originally going Theta but didn't. They tried to get top, but didn't take quite the best line to get there. So, like, you can't half take top. You've got to all the way commit, or you should never be up there in the first place. So, anyway, don't have... Missing a teammate, one more moment, grabbing them. Okay, we're waiting on somebody from Templars to get over here.
It looks like they got him in, and they are stacking up their teams currently.
All right, well, we can keep vamping and topping maps, right? So, Alpine Peaks. So, it has ever been a map for sniping. You can gain control of just a few key locations. You can really keep people on their toes. Once again, going to be very, very important for CDU to try and contest those light fights quite a bit better. Though they have consistently taken faster lights. Could play a role in getting down and securing Theta, Sigma, Epsilon, and then playing back maybe a little bit more passively. Hotel 4, going into Juliet 4, maybe securing some foreground, depending on just how long it takes Templars to reach them.
In my opinion, that is the better spawn because you can get to a position earlier, say along Gulf 5 or like back over here at Hotel 6, and just be able to come up over these little hills and be able to peek and see whether they're positioning early.
So, sorry, Templars are Team 1, so CDU will be on the south side.
Oh, fair enough.
So, we have not seen either team truly attempt to snipe. So this could go a little bit differently than we've been expecting. Do you think either side would make a play for Gamma early, and with a bet that you'd win the 1v1 with whatever was over there?
I think that one of the teams is going to stack a light either in Alpha, and they're going to rush Gamma. One or the other is going to do it, if not both, just for that early cap, given how the caps have been going.
Still waiting on here. All right, got the second team finally locked, and we are switching over into the match. These are some truly devastating sightlines if you've got ERs. So,
yeah, honestly, Team 1 has the strongest spawn on this map.
Well, let's see what CDU can do about that in particular. And go break some faces. They have shown willingness to be aggressive. And if they rush them, CDU still staying with their... Bloodass is new, as is the Trebuchet.
And the Timberwolf, there's definitely a shift going on here.
Alright, let's see how long range they plan to play this. ERs. Rotary 2s. Peanut butter is going to be fairly standard. What does blue side have for us?
Excuse me, I'm over here on red. Whoop.
Kodiak sticking with the PPCs, LBX2s on the riflemen, so a lot of the standard mechs. No Artemis on the Lerm mech, and Bloodasp is also Lerms. So
I'm seeing ER large stalker with 2 Lerm 5s and 2 ER meds on the Templars here.
Alright, well, Stormbolter has decided that crystals will guide the way. and are moving aggressively to try and cut off a lot of the cover that Templars might otherwise have. Templars taking the high ground. This will give them a lot extra protection, but not the greatest sightlines. They're not really contesting Theta or Sigma, so 3 cap should go to CDU fairly early on.
There is that early map on the cap on Gamma. I think that's going to be pivotal. It looks like he's going to full cap it too.
Wow. I'm not sure how much Gamma is going to matter with Templars playing considerably farther back and are going to have to push in to retake Theta here. So, a solid hold setup for CDU. I think they've got themselves into a very, very nice position, especially considering they got those Lerms. No Narc boat is the only detriment, I think, that could really decide this, but that is a Lerm 95 Blood Asp.
The memes are true.
I've only heard of it spoke of in Legends, so a lot of high ground fire support for Templars, and definitely the early trades are going their way. Timberwolf already down to 85%, and bleeding more. They are still out of range of these Lerms, but once again, they don't have the 3 cap as the peanut butter finally slides over to Sigma. But if they could just hold Theta and hold Kappa, Timberwolf has finally found a good angle to try and keep resetting this guy consistently. It only takes a scratch. Stardust over here. No, this is the Black Laner. He is way too big to be trying to do this. He probably blocked the PPC fire, but I don't think he can hide that with the ERs. I think he's just realized that, and he's going to head out. Pretty aggressive push if they're going to try and take Theta here, but they're coming into range of these Lerms. This could be a pivotal moment. They just got to hold locks. Alright. I've yet to see the full missile storm of that Blood Asp unleashed on anybody just yet. Looks like he's trying to be getting into position to fire at Kappa, what has been decapped, so Templar holding a 3-point lead. They will continue to hold as once again the Locust is going to be sent out and jumped immediately by the Black Laner. He's a little out of range with those SPLs, and if he does come out to fight, he will be in range of everybody else. Tech could go down.
The
here.
UAV has gone up. There is locks.
Tech is in a very dangerous position. The rest of his team are not providing enough pressure to keep the heads down. Still no Lerms have fired, so he's probably out of range of those. But already down to 83%. A dangerous, dangerous dance that's holding on. Nobody's shooting at the Pirate's Bane, who would be very open to that. And the crystals are coming in. Oh no. You can't run. You can't run. You should have stayed. I don't know if I'll make it. Down to 56%. He has not had a good day, that Black Laner. Open leg and open arm. 10 micro pulse lasers. Not even committing to anything else. That's a bit of a light weaponry loadout. But certainly good for fighting a Pirate's Bane at close range.
Pirate's Bane has been, looks like, laid at max range.
Alright, well, he's going to be unable to support his team, but he did hold the 3 cap. There is
maybe pivotal.
Yeah, there's nothing they can send over there to recap Kappa. They have to hold it. But time is on their side. They're counting up and have a 50-point advantage. Or a 30-point advantage so far. 6 cents, continuing to be a little more aggressive with that rifleman than I think is wise, but they're doing strikes to keep the commando from over here from Sigma. The Black Laner is making his move on Kappa. Nope. Backed off. So they're not really sure how they want to break this. They're winning the trades. They've got the damage advantage, but not necessarily the initiative.
At this point, them holding what they have, CDU is 100% going to win them this fight if Templars don't do something soon.
So, continuing the long range fire. That's scratch and paint. putting some dents into things, but
Got the Black Lantern coming up on the Bushwhacker.
Theta's being capped by the Rifleman 2C. Do they have angles? And don't think they do. They managed to force the Timberwolf down. Yeah, he's trying to reset them, but Theta's about to flip. He scratched it. Come on. Giant Dwarf, I don't care if you die. You gotta hold that, man. Theta has flipped.
Just like that.
And everything is all over. There's actually a mech in the back line. Where's it? Black Lantern has snuck around. Providing fire support. I wonder if he's holding locks for the Stalker. But without any locks, without any way to get these missiles on target, they are slowly having a worse and worse time as they get beat down by the long-range blue laser and PPC fire. Alpine has not proven as friendly to Lerms as they might have hoped, although every time they do get a lock, it is certainly to the detriment of somebody on the other end of it.
Looks like we got a push coming up here into...
Yeah. Vampire Hunt needs to be very, very careful. He probably can get this Blood Asp, but he is being supported from the back by the Black Lantern. Black Lantern is very much out of range of those micro pulse lasers that he's trying to shoot them in the back with. But missiles coming down from both sides. Templar's continuing to be very timid about this. Really would have expected them to bring forward the Stalker and try and force one side of this fight, considering how split up they are. All it's going to take is for one side to get lit with proper locks. But Rifleman will fall to the Enforcer or the Stalker. They're just being bled white here. There's no concentration of the damage to try and shatter one of these pushes. Vamp Hut continue. Rifleman 2Cs are being piloted by exceptionally brave pilots, at least for what those mechs are. And once again, the Kodiak is the last man standing. They really are not respecting the damage coming out of that.
Actually, outstanding early showing there from Critical Damage Unit. That fight over Kappa was outstanding to watch.
Alright, we are going to drop the stream and head over to MWO Leagues 2 for this final match. So I need to find my stream key because I'm on the MWO Leagues 2 profile and that's not correct. So we'll head over there and stay here if you'd like to see DPS versus Crossfire. See you in just a moment.